ever feel like you're meant for something more? Like there's got to be something bigger out there.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's that feeling of, okay, is this it? Or,
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're diving into today with the story of Abraham from the book of Genesis.
classic. We're talking big faith moves here.
Hmm.
Leaving your home, your family, everything you know.
To follow a promise from God. It's wild. And you've given us some really fascinating sources for this one.
Yeah.
Blending that biblical text with like modern day stories about faith and taking leaps.
Yeah, and it's amazing how relevant those ancient stories still feel today, right? Like we're going to unpack not just what happened to Abraham, but what it reveals about, listening for guidance when you're not sure what's next.
Yes. Navigating that uncertainty.
Totally. And taking those leaps of faith, even when you're like, wait, am I really doing this?
Okay, so paint us a picture. We're in Haran, right? With Abraham's family. And they're polytheistic.
Meaning they've got a whole crew of gods they're worshiping.
Do you imagine trying to keep that straight?
Honey, no. And know that offering. That's for Steve on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, exactly. The scheduling alone. Thursdays for the harvest god. Don't mix that up.
It'd be a nightmare just trying to sort out the catering. But seriously, that's exactly why this call that Abraham receives, it's huge. Because in this world of, like, multiple gods.
He gets this direct communication from the God.
Saying, drop everything, it's time to go.
Whoa. Talk about a life-changing. But, okay, how did he know, like, without a doubt, that it was God speaking to him?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
And that's what's had people pondering for centuries. Our sources point to a few things, though. First, there's this overwhelming sense of clarity, an authority that's totally different from anything Abraham had experienced before.
Like it just hits differently.
Exactly, like, bam! This is it.
It's like those moments when something just clicks, Deep down, you just know W, even if you can't explain it.
100%. And what's interesting is our sources suggest that Abraham might have already been, on a bit of a spiritual journey, like questioning the beliefs of his family, searching for something more.
So when the call came, he was ready.
Yeah, primed and ready. And it makes me think of that story we got from one of our listeners. He was looking for a wife, right? But not just anyone he was praying for, a sign.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That deep connection, and then bam, he sees her face during prayer.
No.
Clear as day, like it was right there in front of him.
It's like, whoa. Talk about a sign.
Right.
But it's not just about, finding a spouse. It's about recognizing those moments when something bigger,
Absolutely.
something bigger seems to be like orchestrating things.
100%. And then having the guts to trust that inner knowing, even when logically it doesn't make sense yet.
Because to think about it, Abraham's being asked to leave everything he knows, his home, his family, his comfort zone. That's terrifying.
Totally. I'd be freaking out about packing, let alone the whole destiny of nations thing.
Speaking of which, can we talk about the scale of this promise God gives him to become the father of nations?
Right.
That's like next level.
It's huge. And it makes you realize the level of trust Abraham must have had. He didn't have all the answers, didn't have a roadmap.
He just had to believe.
Exactly. He chose to say yes, even when he couldn't see the whole picture.
But, did he ever have second thoughts? Did he ever think like, hold on, did I hear God right?
Oh, totally. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
It's only human, right? Like even Abraham, this giant of faith, probably had moments of doubt.
Oh, yeah. Like picturing him and Sarah packing up.
Honey, are you sure about this whole desert thing? What if there's like no good restaurants?
Right. Or like, what if I can't get a decent cell signal?
Exactly. Deal breakers. But, okay, real talk for a sec, because most of us aren't exactly getting direct calls from above. So, like, how do we navigate those Haran moments?
Yeah, those times when we feel that nudge towards something new, but we're not sure if it's like actual guidance or just the espresso talking.
Right. And that's where those little breadcrumbs come in.
The breadcrumbs.
Yeah, those little hints. It's rarely a booming voice. It's more like these synchronicities that keep happening.
Yeah, okay, I'm following you.
Or like this feeling you get that just keeps coming back, like a deep resonance with a particular path.
Gotcha. So walk me through with what are some signs, like which would we be looking out for to know if it's like the real deal guidance?
Our sources highlighted a few things. One is clarity. When it's really guidance, you often just know deep down, even if all the details haven't quite clicked into place yet.
So it's not about having the whole roadmap figured out from the get-go.
Nope. Remember, Abraham, he didn't have Google Maps. He just knew he was supposed to go.
So it's that feeling of This feels right, even if you can't explain why yet.
Exactly. It's not just about what your head is telling you, but what's that gut feeling saying? Does this path feel aligned with your values?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the advice we get, even if it's well-intentioned, it might not be the right advice for us.
Yeah.
It's like that listener's story. Imagine if he'd ignored that deep knowing and just gone for someone nice because everyone else thought it was a good idea.
Exactly. He wouldn't have found that meant-to-be connection.
Wow. Okay, yeah. It really makes you think.
It's about figuring out what's truly good, not just generally, but like good for you.
And that takes some serious self-reflection.
Right. Introspection, prayer, just quiet time to actually listen to those whispers.
Which, let's be real, is hard. In this crazy, noisy world, it's like everyone's always on.
You're telling me. But the sources all said these nudges, they tend to reappear. Like they'll keep coming back in different ways until you finally pay attention.
Okay, so it's less about waiting for a lightning strike moment and more about, like, noticing the patterns.
Yes. Those
Makes it-
recurring themes.
The whispers that just won't quit.
Exactly. And sometimes those whispers, they lead to some pretty incredible places. Think about it. Abraham decided to follow that call. And it didn't just impact him. It echoed down through, like, generations.
It's that butterfly effect thing. One tiny action having this massive ripple effect.
Right. So it's not just about us and our little corner of the world.
It's about this potential we have to create something that goes way beyond us.
And honestly, makes you think, what kind of ripples are my choices creating?
Whoa. Deep.
Right. What
Really?
kind of impact will my little yes have on the world, even years from now? It's kind of humbling when you think about it.
It is, but also really empowering. Like, wow, we have that ability, each of us,
They make a difference.
to say yes to something bigger than ourselves. I love that. But what about those moments when, even when you're trying to be brave,
When that doubt creeps in.
yeah, you hear the call, you feel that nudge, but then you hesitate, you get scared. It's like you're standing at the edge of that diving board, right? Looking down, you're like, I know I want to do this.
But there's that voice in your head like, hold up. Are you sure about this?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's scary. Taking that leap, especially when it involves the unknown, it can be super daunting. Our sources talked about that, actually. Like, fear is a natural part of this whole process.
It's not about being fearless then. It's about, like, feeling the fear but doing it anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Like, acknowledging the doubt, the anxiety, those what-ifs, but not letting them stop you in your tracks. Remember, we're talking about Abraham here. And he wasn't some superhuman who was immune to freaking out.
He's just a regular guy.
Totally. Just trying to figure out this massive life-changing call. And yet he still chose to trust it, to move forward, even though he couldn't see the whole path laid out before him.
Which I guess is kind of the whole definition of faith, right? Believing even when you don't have all the answers. Trusting there's a bigger picture you're not quite seeing yet.
100%. It requires us to be a little vulnerable, to admit, hey, I don't have it all figured out. I might mess up.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it's in those moments when things are uncertain, that's when our faith really gets tested and refined.
So those tough times, the why me moments, they're actually like opportunities.
Totally. Think of it like, working a muscle.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the resistance, the pushing through it that makes you stronger.
I like that. So stepping out in faith, it's not always about things being easy or comfortable. Sometimes it's about going through those fires that shape us, that help us grow.
Absolutely. And remember, just like God was there walking alongside Abraham, guiding him, we're not alone in this either. There's strength in knowing you're part of something bigger, something that sustains you even when you feel like you're running on empty.
It's like knowing you're not just going through the motions. There's purpose, even amidst the chaos.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Abraham's story, it makes you think, what will our yes lead to? What incredible things are waiting for us if we just take that step?
That's a powerful thought.
Embrace the unknown. Trust that even though the path might be kind of bumpy, it's leading you exactly where you need to be.
I love that. So to everyone listening, as you're navigating your own Haran moments, remember Abraham. Sometimes the greatest adventures start with a single step of faith.